Today we are going over the current Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG meta. As you know, we just had a ban list, and of course that has major implications for what is actually good and viable right now. So as you can see, we have a couple tiers. We have top tier, obviously the best decks. We have viable, just you can bring this to an event, you can probably top majors and so forth. Playable, like yeah, it'll be good, and sorry. I'm sorry. Now, engine and not pure is another category I have. I often see people talking about tier lists and they go like, oh yeah, this engine is broken, but then itself is not broken. So instead, I just have this line, you know, of these are really good engines and they're good in this order. I'm not going to start putting them in between actual decks and so forth. So as you can see, the strongest engine is still the Brave engine. Now, it'll have to be seen if there's actually a deck that can use it, because spoiler alert, in my opinion, the best decks right now don't even play the Brave engine, weirdly enough. With that being said, again, this is the strongest engine. Then we have the Magician Souls engine. We often see this combined with the Brave engine. Then we have the new, brand new from Dimension Force, Tyrios, or Tyrion, whatever you want to call it, engine. Most people don't seem to play this pure. They seem to grab like a card from it and then splash it into a deck. Like we've seen people talk about Sonavalon, ABC. Some people talking about Sky Striker with them. Again, just pretty splashable. It seems like people are excited for this. We'll see in the YCS next weekend if that is actually, you know, going to perform or not. Then we have the Punks. Now, for a long time, Punk was basically just a splashable engine. People were throwing it in all kinds of things. Level 3 piles, synchro type decks. Now, with Dimension Force, they're getting some more support, and so we'll have to see if this deck actually gets promoted from engine to full power deck. We don't know, but for now, I put it here. Then we have the Shadol engine. Again, this is really at the lower end of the spectrum, I feel. Can Shadol still win? Sure, but I think usually you will see it being splashed in stuff like Branded and maybe some other decks. And then finally, Invoke. Yeah, they're kind of together because usually you see them play together. We have like Invoke, Shadol, but some people are like, oh, I'll play Branded, Invoked, and so forth. Overall, these two, I don't know about them. These two, again, they're new, so it's hard to say. These two, obvious contenders, obvious powerful stuff. Now, for the actual decks, let's go over them one by one. First of all, we have Eldritch. I think Eldritch is viable. I wouldn't call it top tier, but it's definitely out there. It didn't get hit on the previous list, even though some Eldritch decks did like to run Fusion Destiny stuff, but hey, a lot of them were also just playing Branded over that, so we'll see. Overall, didn't get hit too bad, but it is still just a back row deck, and not really the same, in my opinion, you know, as some of these other crazy decks that we'll get to. With that being said, we did get Jet Synchron back, so maybe we'll see some crazy Eldritch Synchro deck come up, but for now, next we have Prankits. Now, Prankits, I don't know, I'm gonna put it in sorry. Without Meow Meow, you become an actual fusion deck, and it is possible someone figures out like a fusion Prankits deck, but for now, without Meow Meow, I am not too excited about the idea of Prankits. Now, maybe I'm being a little harsh. It's possible that it should actually be playable, you know, I don't know, but for now, I'm gonna put it in sorry. This ban list basically gutted the whole deck. Next, Salamangrate. This is the archetype that will never die. People keep on talking about it. I'm already seeing people talk about like how they will combine this with a variety of engines. Some people playing like Brave, huh? Anyway, Salamangrate still pretty playable. Definitely not like top tier or anything like that, but you know, again, this deck won't die. Next, we have Sky Striker. Sky Striker arguably didn't really get hit. Some people are talking about putting Change of Heart in the main deck here, since it goes blind second often, I guess, but it's not Eldritch either. Next, we have Tri-Brigade. I don't know. I'll put it somewhere at the bottom of playable. I don't think this deck is all that good right now. Again, a lot of the rogue decks honestly were hit by Verte. A lot of the tier 2 decks were hit by Verte. Meanwhile, the best decks were not hit. So while the previous tier list, in my opinion, was pretty varied, you had quite a lot of decks that were pretty good. You had, you know, all the types of piles. You had Prankit, Sword Soul, Branded, and anything that could make a Verte and a Dagda, Sightlock, and so forth. And I know Sightlock, annoying, you know, very annoying, fucked up, should have been hit as well. But, you know, a lot of decks were weakened, while the decks that were already eating good survived. Because obviously, the ban list is not a way to balance the meta. The ban list is a way for them to sell sets. So Tri-Brigade, you know, also lost some stuff and so playable. Next, we have Virtual World. This might actually be an upset for some people. You know, Virtual World can still sidelock, and so other things got hit arguably harder than it? Question mark? I don't know. I think Virtual World might get some random W's here and there. Next, we have Floanderies, also very viable. The issue is, of course, it doesn't have quite a ceiling as other decks, but hey, overall, as you know, a tier 2 or rogue or whatever you want to call it deck, I think Flow Anders is pretty solid right now. Next, we have PKs. How the mighty have fallen. At first, people thought, you know, oh, in OCG it's tier 0, in TCG it's gonna be tier 0 as well, and instantly on release, people realize, hey, it's not. PK is kind of just whatever. However, then they also lost Verte. And now, PK is basically like weaker in the TCG than in Master Duel. Wild. Without Verte, they can't actually double sight lock, they can only single sight lock. And if your board automatically dies to a single droplets, that feels pretty bad. That is pretty shit. And so for that reason, you know, going from your double sight lock that plays around droplets into pray they don't have droplets or super poly, yeah, because it also dies to super poly, a card that everyone now main decks in order to beat Despia, yikes. Of course, assuming they are playing Starving Venom. But still, yeah, I don't see this deck being as good anymore. Before I would have put it like somewhere here. Now it falls here. And as a PK player at heart, I would like to put it here, but that would be unfair. A single sight lock is pretty decent still. Next, we have Sword Soul. Sword Soul is top tier. Sword Soul is insane. This deck was already arguably second best deck or so, right after Branded. And then it basically lost nothing. Now, I know, they could play Aurorodon with Hulk, sure, but they got Jet Synchron instead now. So if you want to do certain synchro plays with Jet Synchron, you can do that as well. But some will probably not even opt to do that. It's not necessary. Some cards also lock you into worms and so forth. Overall, it didn't lose much. It's still a crazy powerhouse, and this list just took out a bunch of its competition. This deck had issues with Prankits sometimes, and guess where Prankits is? It's all the way here in Sorry. Too bad. So Sword Soul going from strong to stronger in this ban list, while the rest went from okay to less okay. Next, we have Drytron. I think Drytron is actually pretty solid. Right about here or so, you know, in Viable, you can start saying, oh, this is better than this is better than this. Sure. But overall, I think Drytron still has quite some unfair boards it can make. I know it's not like in Master Duel. It's not Herald of Ultimateness, you know, Infinite, Benten, Eva, craziness like that. Sure, you don't have that, but there's still quite a lot of things you can do. Abyss Dwellers, Megalith stuff, Sightlock even? Maybe? Now, maybe it's not as good as Virtual World. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of biased. I think Drytron is actually pretty decent. And then we have, of course, Branded. Branded is best deck. Now, is it possible that someone for YCS Hartford figures out something crazier? Some deck that completely upsets the balance and that no one saw coming? Sure. But as of now, if you're not playing one of these two decks, what are you doing? Branded is insane. Branded was already best deck before this list, and then Konami took like a sniper. They went like, oh, there's decks that like have a 40% win rate against Branded? We can't do that. Now there's no such decks. It's Branded. It's only Branded. Now, jokes aside, of course, Sword Soul is still very solid. You know, if Eldritch high rolls a little, you know, game 1 with its floodgates, Branded might not have the out to it. And then, you know, maybe it still luckily wins later. There's a variety of things like that can still go wrong. But overall, in my opinion right now, Branded's insane. Sword Soul is insane. Everything else is quite a fair bit weaker. And then we have Heroes. I put Heroes in here because they released a Hero Lives to 3. That means they now have 3 copies of a 1-card Dark Law. Now, I'm not saying Heroes is a competitive deck, but maybe someone figures out some way to make that good. Whether as an engine, where you just have 3 cards that instantly lead to Dark Law in any deck, or maybe it's playable. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it might be still in Sorry, but I wouldn't be surprised if a Hero Live somehow is a starter to something greater. I don't know. Maybe I'm on Copium. I might be on Copium. So that is my tier list. I hope you found this interesting. Now, of course, this doesn't have all the decks. I don't have opinions on every single deck. I also won't pretend like I know every single deck, but these are probably the most relevant ones. If I missed any, let me know in the comments down below and let me know how good you think it is or where it should be. Again, I would love to learn. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.